For all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer, and welcome back to another edition in the abandoned haunted house build. The first thing you're going to notice is that this build is several months after the first one, and I do want to apologize for that. I've had a lot going on with other aspects of my channel and going on with school and work and things like that, so I apologize that I haven't gotten a build out there for you guys in quite some time. But I'm back, trying to get into the haunt builds again because October is just around the corner and we need to prepare for Abandon to make this a very spooky season. So, with that being said, I'm going to show you some of the stuff I'm getting prepared for Abandon, and you'll have a better aspect and grasp of the haunt for 2017. So I guess the first place I should obviously start is Mr. Smiley. A lot of people have been asking me about the character, and so many people have been sending me drawings of Mr. Smiley. So I appreciate all of the social media friends out there for sending in their Mr. Smiley drawings. But here is the actual Mr. Smiley that will be in the haunt for this year. His body is pretty simple. It's just one long piece of PVC. I think it's about an inch PVC. And then the base down here is what I call the H shape, or I, depending on how you look at it. Basically, it's got these two T branches coming off that gives it pretty good support. I think it'd even be better to make it an entire square. But going up here, you can see he has two white gloves, similar to characters like Mickey Mouse. I also added some of my Rust-Oleum paint to make it look sort of like dirt on his hands, and some black paint as well. You can see on this hand too the little black, because before I touched these up with paint, they were very plain white. And then, of course, the PVC is mostly black. You can also see some places where I added white and some Rust-Oleum and also some metallic paint as well. His bow tie I got off of Amazon. It's just a standard, I think, clown tie. And this one is kind of shiny. I also added some of that dirt-looking paint to it and a little bit of black. It actually turned out pretty well. And it is glued to the T piece that is the main part of his body. And moving up to his head here, you can see the mask I got from Morbid Enterprises on his face. That is the Mr. Smiley look. He also has two red LEDs inside of his head I picked up from Spirit Halloween. And he looks pretty darn creepy, you guys. The side of his head is nothing more than just a mannequin styrofoam head. I'll have to work on it a little bit more to make sure it will stay secure for Halloween for this year, but overall, I am very excited, and I can't wait to see him in the haunt this year and to see the reactions that guests give when they see this guy. He's very tall, too, so this will be an exciting year. I can't move on without talking about Mr. Smiley's band of animal friends. A lot of times in carnivals or in amusement parks, the main character, which in my case is Mr. Smiley, typically has some side characters. So we have here Mr. Panda, Mr. Rabbit, and Mr. Pig. Of course, if you have your own names you want to use for them, feel free to call them whatever you want. I just gave them plain names. As you can see, these are just cheap vacuum form masks I picked up from Amazon.com and added some Rust-Oleum, that dirt paint that I always use to make it look dirty. I added black paint along the eyes, and I think they actually turned out pretty good. The only different one is this panda one, which is made of a foam material. All three of these will likely not remain as masks. I'm planning on making them into mini animatronics that aren't really animatronics. They're supposed to look like broken down ride animatronics that will be used for the amusement park section of the haunt. So these are going to be really creepy. I already like how they're looking, and I can't wait to see what they turn into. The last two things I wanted to touch on for this build were two objects that I picked up that I think are going to be very important to the haunt. The first is going in the electrical sort of zone. This is going to be turned into an electric fence. It's a garden fence I picked up from Home Depot. It's made of plastic, and it doesn't exactly look like the one that you see at Spirit that they have out for this year, but I'm planning on turning it into something that looks very similar. I'm going to use some metallic paint to make it look like metal, and then I'll add some electric fence signs onto there, and maybe some other materials onto it to make it look more realistic, maybe some barbed wire. Not too sure, but I wanted to show you guys that to keep you updated. And the other thing I got at Old Time Pottery, I got, I think, 10? Did I get 10? No, 7. I got 7 strands of these vines. And they're really long, so I'm not going to pull them all the way out. But these are going to be epic for the haunt. I really wanted a lot of overgrown plants in the haunt this year, as I mentioned in the first build. And so I picked up many of these. Some of them will go at the entrance when guests first walk in. I might include some more in other portions, maybe in the amusement park portion. But that is basically what I wanted to show you guys for this edition of the build. I have many more coming your way, so please stay tuned. And remember, as always, for all things Halloween, this is Hauntformer.